Hey everyone. Today I wanted to talk about kind of just off the cuff. It was in my Reiki meditation today, and the idea of that open flute came to me again, and it's an image that I've worked with a lot through the years. Not only to flow my voice, but also to flow my creativity, and just to kind of keep things flowing in my life. So the open flute. Think about yourself and your whole body as this open flute, as if nothing was in the way. Nothing contracting it, nothing sticking in the middle of it, right? Just it's this open flow. A flow of what? That's the question, isn't it? Well, the way I see it is it's an open flow of source energy, of presence, of beingness. And what I've noticed through the years is that when I sing from that space of being, that open flute, nothing's in the way. There's no fear getting in the way. There's no past story getting in the way. What happens is I just start singing and being and speaking without thinking. And that is a really potent place to be. So, this open flute, the Native Americans refer to it as an open bone. I use the flute. I used to play the flute when I was 12 to like 20. I played the flute. And so that is really close to my heart, playing the flute. And just when you can get that unrestricted sound from the flute, when the embouchure's just right and everything's just in alignment, you get this beautiful, pure tone. And the same goes with the voice. When you can get out of your head and get out of your stories and get out of the past and be right here, right now, that is a potent place to be. So many times I noticed that when I was in my head with performing, say if I was at a coffee shop or wherever I was playing, sharing my music, um, if I got in my head around it, if it got to be something that I had to prove or be like egoic around, if there was something around, oh, I didn't practice enough, or oh, I didn't get that note. So if any of that stuff started to come up, it would compromise my performance. And when I would just get out of the way and create that open flute sensation, and even if I messed up in within that open flute sensation, it didn't matter. That was part of the performance. But if I'm not in that open flute kind of state and I mess up, I start getting a stress reaction. You know what I mean? Like you get really hot and you start to shake or get wobbly in your voice. That's not that fun. So, what I've noticed is that I could even go without practicing that much. When I'm in that open flute sensation, everything kind of comes back to me. Everything's sourced. It's a really amazing space of being that's available all the time to us if we're willing to practice being there. It's there. And so sometimes it's just like a somatic experience to be like, oh my gosh, what just happened there? And I noticed it a lot in my performances. I was like, what happened there? Then I would come home and be like, I want to be that all the time. And what I noticed is it's what I call that open flute sensation. And I'm happy to say I really do live with that these days. It took a little while to somatically realize and spiritually realize and let go of my mind and let go of some old stories. But wow, what a beautiful place to be. So, where are you with your open flute? So, another way of seeing the open flute is that you get to be you. You get to be all of you. You get to be everything about you. When you're in that open flute, you align to the source of you and you get to be all of you. Um, you get to be your stories, but with a perspective and an alignment of, wow, they brought me awareness. We don't when you're in the open flutes space of being, the stories aren't contracted into a trauma, but rather expanded out into an awareness. Be like, oh, cool. And yeah, we don't have to perseverate on them. And so, open flute, open flute, open flute. Do 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 do. What else do we want to say about this? Um, in an open flute state, fear really doesn't take over. You can start to feel it, but then the presence of you just comes through and kind of just puts fear aside. Um, I'm going to be doing a telecall coming up on the Monday after Thanksgiving, and it's called Free the Fear. And this is one of the things we're going to be talking about is this open flute sensation. Um, yeah, what would it take to turn fear into excitement? What would it take to turn fear into an energy of potency rather than disempowerment? And so when that open flute sensation's there, that's the kind of things that can happen. And so what is getting in the way of living and being that open flute all the time so that you can walk into any situation feeling the brilliance of you, whether you want to be using your voice for singing or speaking or relationships or just in your job with colleagues or at meetings or speaking with children. Um, yeah. So I think, let's see, what else? What else? Oh, how do you really get that open flute sensation? Well, there's an allowance that happens. There's an allowance that takes place to let yourself be you, even with the stories going on in the head. And then eventually the stories in the head stop. So, how do we get the mind, the overactive mind, to just slow down? um, that is something I have a lot of experience in. My mind used to be so full of worry and so full of anxiety and so full of stories. Um, and it was just a little while ago. I guess it was last year. I was taking a walk around the lake I live near, and I was noticing that my mind was clear. I was noticing that if there was a thought, it was the presence of the beauty in front of me. And I was like, I took a moment and I peeled myself away and I was like, looked at myself. I was like, oh my gosh, we are not in a negative spiraling down of some story, of some drama, of overthinking something, which was a big thing I used to do. And I was very happy that that wasn't my reality anymore. And so if you are noticing that you're kind of in that thinking mind, that anxious mind, that perseverating around stories and fear and not good enough or, not trusting yourself and all that stuff that might be limiting you, uh, there is a way out. And the quickest way out is asking a question. What is the next question to ask? Uh, One of the easiest questions that has given me the most awareness is, what is this? Something comes up, and if you pause and say, what is this? What is this really? Because when we say, what is this, sometimes the mind starts to be like, oh, well, it's this, and this is why you're like this, and this. But really, if you say, what is this really? So going behind the mental game of the story, what is this really? And oh my gosh, that that question has opened up a lot of awareness. And what awareness does is kind of just it's different than a thought. It's kind of just something that kind of pops in. It feels like a thought, but it's not as controlled and linear. Okay, so yeah, so how do you find the difference between a thought and awareness? Um, the thought it has more linearity to it. It has more pros and cons. It has more definition to it, and it has there's a thinking aspect to it, where an awareness just kind of it just kind of bubbles up. There's like a lightness. There's like a oh, there's an aha. All right, and the awareness is what really loves to just fly through that open flute. So there's one way to quiet the mind, put things aside so that you can become that open flute. I don't want to say become because you already are it. It's just that sometimes there's just junk in the flute. So we want to, clean it out and then, oh my gosh, there it is. And it's just this essence and presence of you with the mind quiet, quiet. Uh, all right, so that's the conversation I wanted to have today. And I hope it was a contribution to you. Any questions or comments or stories you want to share, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And stay tuned. I will let you know about the telecall coming up on, I believe it's Monday the 27th, November 27th. Free the Fear. And as always, feel free to subscribe for more tips, tools, sharings, reviews with Reiki and voice and getting confident with being you. And what else? What else? I think that's it for now. Oh, if you want the free gift, it's right down there. Unlock Your Power. It's a PDF of a ton of questions you can ask to just get that awareness flowing up your flute. All right, until next time. Bye.